They used to laugh at the janitor mopping their floors, until the day she walked into the boardroom and fired the CEO. You ever pass someone by like they're not even there? Not out of malice, just assumption. That's how most people treated Tamara. Every night at exactly 9 p.m., Tamara Daniels rolled her mop bucket through the wide glass doors of Stratton Technologies, a multi-billion-dollar software company headquartered in Tempe, Arizona. The lobby smelled like lemon oil and polished leather, with sleek white marble floors that gleamed by morning. They always gleamed because of her. She wore the standard gray janitor uniform. Her curly hair was pulled into a neat puff, AirPods in, though she rarely played music. She didn't feel like talking. She wasn't paid to smile, and she certainly wasn't paid to be friendly. She was there to clean, and most people never looked twice. Some called her sweetheart, others said girl, even though her name was printed clearly on her badge. Occasionally, they discussed million-dollar mergers or their second vacation homes while she scrubbed the very tables where they tossed their coats. A few looked at her with pity, like her life had gone wrong somewhere. But Tamara never blinked. She had a rhythm. Vacuum first, trash bins next, then desks, always in that order. When the executives worked late, which was often, they laughed, they gossiped, they drank from whiskey flasks in crystal tumblers. They acted like she was invisible. One night, a junior VP named Jackson Keene spilled his protein shake in the hallway. He didn't apologize. He just pointed to the mess and said, "You missed a spot." Tamara looked at him, quiet, calm, and wiped it up. He laughed, as if he'd won something. What Jackson didn't know was that Tamara had been quietly tracking his stock manipulation and his misuse of company funds on those team-building retreats in Vegas for 3 months straight. She didn't say a word. She never did. That same week, 2 new hires in HR took a selfie in the break room, catching Tamara in the background. They joked on Instagram. "Didn't even know we had night staff. Ghost lady looks mad serious." Tamara saw the post. She screenshotted it, saved it to her personal archive. What they didn't know, what no one bothered to learn, was that Tamara Daniels had a master's degree in finance from Arizona State. Graduated top 5% in her class. She could have been sitting at one of those desks, with her own name on a plaque. But she chose not to. Tamara's mother, Clarice Daniels, had worked for Stratton Technologies for 29 years. She was a janitor too. Everyone loved her, until she got sick. Stage 4 cancer. The company offered no sick pay, no benefits, no support. They told her she could resign if she needed to. Clarice passed away in a 2-bedroom rental in Mesa. No funeral coverage. Just a folded uniform and a final check for $4,008. So Tamara came back. Not for revenge. For clarity. She applied under her middle name. Used an old mailing address. Never mentioned her education. She was hired after a single interview. Some people chase power by shouting. Tamara came for it in silence. But silent didn't mean weak. It meant watching. And Tamara had been watching for a long, long time. Her earliest memories weren't cartoons or birthdays. They were of Clarice's hands, red from bleach, scrubbing uniforms in the sink while humming gospel under her breath. Clarice never complained. She didn't have time. Rent was always creeping up. Tamara always needed something for school. But her mother made it work. Clarice believed in looking respectable. She caught the 5:45 a.m. bus every morning, dozing off with a lunch bag in her lap. Even when she came home covered in sweat and grime, her shoes were polished. "Clean work is honest work," she'd say. "But don't let it be your only option, baby. Learn money. Learn systems. Learn who really holds the power." Tamara listened. By 16, she was breaking down budgets better than most adults. By 22, she was writing market analysis reports on freelance platforms while waiting tables. She could have gone corporate. But Clarice's diagnosis changed everything. It was 6 months from first hospital visit to hospice. No card from HR. Just a company email. "Your employment status has been updated." Tamara read that email through blurry eyes as the hospice nurse turned off the machines. That was the moment she decided Stratton wouldn't get to forget her mother. She didn't storm into HR, didn't file a lawsuit. She went quiet, calculated, started her plan. She saved every dollar, took side gigs. At one point, she was juggling 3 jobs while reading investor blogs during her breaks. Every spare cent went toward Stratton stock. At first, it was pennies, then dollars, then thousands. She learned the game. Who sat on the board? Which members rarely attended proxy votes? Who owned what? She started connecting with people like herself, janitors, cafeteria staff, the parking garage guy. Even Luis, the security guard on night shift, who hated corporate types. I'm telling you, they don't see us, Luis said once, sipping coffee from the vending machine. We could be planning a heist, and they'd walk right past us like we're furniture. Tamara smiled. Not a heist, she said. Something better. And something better took time. She memorized the executive habits. She learned that Jackson, the same VP who disrespected her, was planning to outsource half of HR to cut costs. No loyalty in this game, he said to a buddy in the break room, pouring kale powder into a blender. Family here? Please. It's all about margin. Tamara took a photo of a crumpled document from his trash. A Miami trip labeled Strategic Development, booked through a third-party firm not listed on company expenses. Then there was Valerie Croft, head of legal. Tall, sharp, always in 5-inch heels. One night she squinted at Tamara and said, "You look familiar. What's your name again?" "Oh, never mind." Tamara overheard Valerie say later, "We need to clear out the bottom feeders. Start with janitorial. Cut 20%. Let them figure it out. Bottom feeders." Tamara didn't flinch. She just added Valerie's name to the spreadsheet she'd been building, called Truth Table. It had names, habits, timelines, votes, all encrypted, backed up across 3 cloud services. Then Stratton brought in a new CEO, Elliot Grayson, podcast voice, tailored suits, leaned on disruption and synergy like they were gospel. In his first week, he laid off 2 janitors, merged 3 departments, slashed lower-level benefits, and, of course, expanded the liquor budget for executive dinners. Then came the joke. One Thursday night, Tamara was mopping outside the boardroom. The execs were tipsy from an evening of strategy. Sometimes, Elliot chuckled, "You gotta stop feeding the bottom so the top can float." They all laughed. Except Tamara. That night, she got a text from her cafeteria friend, Naomi. "He's flying to Austin next week. Board meeting. You good?" Tamara replied, "Perfect." She'd been collecting proxy votes quietly. Small shareholders, disillusioned ex-employees, even a few retirees. One by one, she gained trust. Nobody took her seriously. That was the point. She now controlled just over 11.5% of shareholder votes. Legally, enough. Strategically, plenty. She drafted a formal motion, removal of CEO Elliot Grayson. Cited misuse of funds, internal morale decline, proxy abuses, even the fake Miami trip. Every line had documentation, receipts, IP logs. She cross-checked everything 3 times. Luis passed by and saw her at the table. "You know you're not supposed to be in here, right?" He smirked. "I'm just cleaning," she said, not looking up. He nodded at the paperwork. "Damn, you really doing it?" Tamara nodded. "Nobody gives us a seat at the table. I'm pulling up a chair." He grinned. "Say less. I'll bring my tie." But the next morning, a call came. "Ms. Daniels," said the voice from HR, "we're sorry, but as part of restructuring, your position is being eliminated." She said nothing. "Ms. Daniels? Are you?" "I heard you," she replied and hung up. No emotion, no drama, just clarity. She stood in the alleyway, staring up at the scorching sky. Arizona heat didn't faze her. Not now. They'd erased her mother. Now they were trying to erase her. But she still had power, still had shares, still had her motion. She texted Luis, "Boardroom. Friday, 6 p.m. I need in. Thumbs up." She emailed every proxy supporter, every quiet ally, even the legal assistant who always replied at 2 a.m. She locked her motion into a physical binder, stored the backup in her locker, hid it beneath trash bags. Friday, she walked in through the freight elevator. Not in uniform. She wore jeans, a black blazer, and sneakers. The badge still worked. Luis made sure of that. Inside, Elliot was mid-joke. "Best decision I made. Cutting the dead weight. Gotta float the top, right?" He didn't see her yet. But Charles Mendoza, a veteran board member, did. "Can I help you?" Elliot asked, blinking. Tamara stepped forward. "I'm a shareholder. I'm submitting this." She placed the folder on the table. Motion. Proxies. Receipts. Legally sound. Elliot laughed. "Is this a prank?" Charles spoke. "It's not. Her documentation is in order." Another board member nodded. "She's got my vote." Then another, and another, and another. Elliot's smile vanished. This is absurd, he shouted. She mops floors. I clean what's dirty, Tamara replied. And right now, that includes this leadership. She cited Section 7B of the shareholder agreement. Read it line by line. Cool, composed. You don't have the authority, he stammered. I have 11.6%, she said. That's enough. Silence. Then Chandra Patel, a newer board member, added. Frankly, Elliot, we've had concerns. You cut where it hurt, spent where it pleased. The numbers don't lie. Elliot reached for water, nearly knocking it over. You're really taking her word over mine? Chandra, I'm taking the word of facts. And her facts are airtight. Charles raised a hand. All in favor of removing Elliot Grayson as CEO? Hands went up. It was unanimous. The next morning, Tamara returned through the front doors. Not in a suit. Not with a press badge. In her old uniform. Because this wasn't about style. It was about closure. Naomi found her in the cafeteria, stunned. That really happened? Tamara nodded, sipping coffee. Louise passed by, saluting. CEO Slayer. Tamara smirked. Don't start. Later that week, the board released a company-wide email titled, Change Begins with the Ones Who Build. A new interim committee was announced, 2 janitors, 1 cafeteria lead, and a junior coder. Not for PR, but because they mattered. The company's outreach fund was renamed the Clarice Initiative. Tamara hadn't asked for that. But when she saw the logo, her mother's name in gold, she stepped into the women's restroom and cried for 5 full minutes. Because it finally meant something. Weeks later, Mendoza asked, Will you take a leadership position? Tamara shook her head. I'll still show up at 9 p.m. At least for now. To remind them not to forget. Seems like a waste of your talent, he said. Tamara smiled. I don't need a desk to think. As she walked out, she added, And if anyone ever calls a janitor deadweight again, make sure they're ready to be next. Because sometimes the ones who clean the floors are the only ones brave enough to clean house. And the quietest person in the room might just be the one rewriting the rules.